Every day my brain breaks when I think about the fact that Christianity is built off of a contradiction. The same concept that got Satan kicked out of heaven, Adam and Eve kicked out of the garden, is the same concept that made Christ qualified to die on the cross for humanity, and the same concept humanity has to follow to be qualified to get into fucking heaven, being more like God. Now people will say, well, Satan was disobedient, but nobody will ask, how did Satan have the ability to be disobedient if sin never existed in heaven and disobedience is sin? That's a real question to fucking ask. Nobody ever asked, how was it after Adam and Eve ate of the fruit in the garden, the first thing that they experienced was guilt and shame when the fruit was supposed to make them like God? You mean to tell me this motherfucker walking around feeling guilty and shameful? I'll tell you Christ was perfect, but my question is, why does the Bible depict God's perfect as being superior to Christ's perfect? And if they are God in three person, why didn't Christ have the same knowing that God did? And better yet, why didn't the God of the Old Testament know that he was going to become the God of the New Testament and have a change of heart and realize he needs to send his son to die, like there wasn't another way through love or something like peace, I don't fucking know, to get his people back to him, instead of just smiting people for century after century?
So let me try and help you. The question you asked of how Satan, or Lucifer as he was originally known, could be disobedient despite the absence of sin in heaven is a complex theological issue, and it's been debated by scholars and theologians throughout history. However, particularly within Christianity, as a Christian, I'm going to speak on Christianity, it is believed that angels, including Lucifer, were created with free will. The free will allowed them to choose between obedience to God and rebellion against him. The concept of free will suggests that even in a perfect environment such as heaven, beings could choose to act against God's will. You see, Satan's disobedience is often viewed as a choice he made, driven by pride and desire for autonomy. According to certain interpretations of Scripture, particularly in passages Isaiah 14, and we'll look at Ezekiel in 28, Lucifer sought to elevate himself among God, leading to the fall from grace and introduction of sin into the heavenly realm. Thus, while sin itself may not have existed in heaven prior to Lucifer's rebellion, the potential for disobedience existed because of the gift of free will. This ability to choose is fundamental to the knowledge and nature of many theological discussions which surround good and evil and the human or the angelic condition. Now, let's look at the experience of guilt and shame that Adam and Eve felt after eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. As you see in the book of Genesis, it can be understood through a couple of different theological and or psychological lenses. Check it out. Loss of innocence. You see, before eating the fruit, Adam and Eve lived in a state of innocence and harmony with God. The act of disobedience marked a turning point in their conscience. Eating the fruit represented a choice to gain knowledge, specifically the knowledge of good and evil, while fundamentally changing their understanding of themselves